Hello, my name is Richard Spencer, and this is the second video in the Basic Woodturning Techniques Series. Today we're going to look basically at sharpening, how to sharpen your tools. But before we did that, I thought it'd be a good idea just to take a look at some of the basic woodturning tools. And I can give you my thoughts on each one of them. The first one we'll look at will be the roughing gouge. Now, some people give it a longer name. They call it a spindle roughing gouge. And it's appropriate because it's only used on spindles. But you can just call it a roughing gouge. It has a bevel like all of the wood turning tools, and the bevel is the portion of the tool that comes in contact with the grinding wheel when you sharpen it. It has a very large flute in the center, and that section down the center of the tool is called the flute. This particular one is cut at a 45-degree angle, and this is a basic gouge. It's used to turn square stock round. That's its primary purpose. And it has a single bevel. Now, the second tool that you would need would be a bowl gouge. There are actually two kinds of gouges. There's a bowl gouge and a spindle gouge. And we'll look at the spindle gouge in just a second. But the bowl gouge is generally larger in diameter, and it has a deeper flute. It also has a single bevel around the entire surface on the outside of the tool. And this is used, as the name implies, to turn bowls. Now, the spindle gouge is generally smaller. The flute is much shallower than a bowl gouge. And again, it has a single flute. This particular one is cut at a 45-degree angle. There are others that are cut at a much steeper angle, closer to 30 degrees. And those are generally referred to as detail gouges. But that's a secondary tool that you would acquire after you have a little bit more experience. And the spindle gouge, as the name implies, is used to cut the outside of a spindle. You would never try to turn the inside of a bowl with a spindle gouge. Now, this tool is called a parting tool. And again, as the name implies, it's used to part the piece off the lathe. It has other uses, but primarily it's used to part. It has two bevels that come to a point, and it's a very effective tool for going straight into a spindle. This is a round nose scraper. This particular tool is used, as the name implies, it scrapes. This is the only one of the basic 6 tools that does not cut. The other 5 cut. The scraper scrapes. And it has its place. There are times when you need to use a scraper. And we will cover those in the other videos when we get to specific techniques that require each one of these tools. The last one is a skew. The skew also has a double bevel. It is called a skew because it's not flat across the top like most chisels. The business end of this tool is on an angle, on a skew. The skew is used to do very specific cuts. It's very good at producing a smooth, consistent surface. You can also use this to get into very tight places when you're doing beads and coves. But that's your 6 basic tools, and all of them have variations. This is also a skew, but instead of being straight across the surface, it's curved, and it's considerably thicker, and the sides are flat. But there are variations in all of these tools. This is another style of scraper. It's considerably thicker and wider. This is, and it's not symmetrical. The cutting surface on this tool is not symmetrical. This is useful for doing the inside of large bowls and large vessels. I use it particularly when I'm doing the inside of a segmented vessel. But these are just a few of the tools that are available to you. There are literally thousands of specialty lathe tools that are on the market. And I'd like to tell people that are new to the turning world that lathe tools, the specialty lathe tools, are a lot like fishing lures. Fishing lures are not intended to catch fish. Fishing lures are intended to catch fishermen. And the specialty lathe tools, to a large degree, are designed to catch lathe turners. In the background, you can see a stand that holds all of my tools. I've got over 50 lathe tools because I got caught by a lot of the specialty tools when I first started turning. By and large, I don't use them. 90% of my turning is done with this one tool, my bowl gouge. The only time I set this tool down is when it will not reach where I'm trying to go. Then I will pick up a different tool that is able to fit into that particular spot. So if you're new to turning and you see this huge variety of tools that are available to you, just bear in mind that you do not need to go out and buy a different tool for every single cut that you make. Once you get some experience, you'll learn that you don't really need a lot of those specialty tools. Just the basic tools are more than adequate. I generally use my bowl gouge, I use my spindle gouge, I use my parting tool, and I use this scraper. And from time to time, I'll use a skew and, of course, the roughing gouge. And that's about it. And I turn a wide variety of projects. And all of them can be done quite well with just the basic tools. So when you're tempted to buy a specialty tool that someone has told you that you must have to do this kind of cut, do some more research, look into it. The chances are you already own a tool that will do exactly what you need. And that's going to cover it for the tools. It's a very cursory inspection. This is not an in-depth look at tools. But I just wanted to give you a background in the basic tools that we use in this craft. And in just a minute, we will look at how to sharpen all of these tools. So we'll be right back. Well, now we'll get into actually looking at the tools that can sharpen our lathe tools. Now, before I begin, I want to give you a big disclaimer. There are numerous sharpening systems out there. Almost every major manufacturer of lathe tools offers a sharpening system, and they vary widely. And what I intend to do here is simply show you what I use. But in no way am I trying to endorse this particular system. This works well for me. Another system may work well for you. So what I encourage you to do is to investigate the different sharpening methods. All of them have tutorial videos on YouTube. Identify the major players, go look at their videos, and see how that method is going to mesh with how you want to sharpen tools. There are, I guess you would call them, 3 basic methods. This particular one is called a Tormek, and it is a slow speed wet wheel. It has a basin of water. The wheel is submerged in the water as it goes around, so the surface of the wheel remains wet while you're using it. And it has leather on the other side so you can hone your tools if you choose to. This only turns 90 RPMs. It's a very slow speed wheel. It's 220 grit. This system is designed to sharpen tools, and it does a good job of sharpening. It does not do a good job in shaping. Every lathe tool that you buy comes shaped, but not sharp. And most of the lathe tools can be shaped different ways. There are different people that promote different grinds, they call them, on different tools. And if you buy, say, a bowl gouge, it may come with a grind that doesn't suit your style. So you're going to have to reshape the bevel on that tool. This is a poor choice for shaping because it's slow speed and it does not remove a lot of material. A high-speed dry grinder would be the tool of choice to shape a tool, and we'll look at one of those in just a minute. The big advantage of a tool like this is it has all of these different jigs available. This is called the universal bar, and this determines the distance from the wheel. And they're all, this particular one is used for gouges. You can put it onto the universal bar. You have your tool locked down here. You can put it against the wheel, and it has repeatability. Every time you set up the same tool in the same jig with the same setup, it will reproduce that grind exactly every time. So you're not removing a lot of material. All you're doing is renewing the edge on the bevel. So this is a good tool for that. And the learning curve on it is a little steep. Learning how to use the jigs requires a little time and experience. But like I say, there are lots of different systems. I can't show any other one to you because I don't own them. But my advice is that you research all of the available systems and find one that's going to work well for you and then go with it. But I will say this about sharpening. If you cannot sharpen your tools well, you will never, ever turn well. You can only turn well with sharp tools. And lathe tools dull quickly, depending on the wood that you're turning. There are times when you're turning a wood that contains a lot of silica that dulls tools quickly. You have to sharpen every 5 minutes of use. Other woods you can get by with maybe 20 or 25. But you can't buy a tool and use it forever. It must be sharpened. And you're the one that's going to have to do it. And remember what I said. If you cannot sharpen your tools well, you will never, ever succeed as a turner. Now, we're going to take a look in just a minute at a high-speed dry grinder, just so you can see the difference. Well, we're back, and this is my high-speed dry grinder. It is very high speed. It turns at 3,580 RPMs, and it is dry. So when you use a dry grinder like this, at this speed, it generates a great deal more heat. And you have to deal with that heat. If you're shaping a tool, you're going to have to quench in water often to keep the heat from building up and damaging your tool. There are a number of sharpening systems that are designed to be used with a grinder of this type. The one-way Wolverine system is a very popular one. There are others. I'm not endorsing the Wolverine. I've never owned one. I've never used one. But I know a lot of turners who swear by it. And they have purchased it, they use it, and they love it. There is another type of sharpening system. There are systems that are set up with actually belt grinders. There's a flexible belt, the same as on your sander. And they have the jigs and fixtures set up where you can put your tool against essentially a sanding belt and sharpen your tools that way. There's no shortage of methods. As I said earlier, you just have to do your own due diligence, investigate, and then find one that's going to work well for you. Now that's just about it for the grinding systems that are available. I know it's not much information. I didn't intend it to be. You are going to have to do your due diligence. You are going to have to figure out what's going to work best for you. Be careful about taking a lot of advice, because everybody has their own preconceived notions, and what works well for someone else may not necessarily work well for you. So be careful and be diligent, and above all else, you've got to sharpen your tools. You can't turn if you can't sharpen. Now that's going to do it for this video. I hope to see you back again for the third one in the series, which will be on turning beads and coves. Thanks for watching.